Greetings and welcome to my channel LC41. My name is Axel and I am a private pilot based in Pontoise outside of Paris. I fly single and multi-engine piston aircraft all over Europe. Today I would like to address some of the concerns with respect to customs and immigration at French aerodromes in the context of the temporary reintroduction of internal border controls in France. At the end of this video you will hopefully have a somewhat better understanding of the situation in France and your obligations for international flights to and from France. As you know, the European Union is, among other things, a customs union allowing for free movement of persons and goods across the member states. The Schengen Treaty abolished immigration controls on the borders between signatory countries, called internal borders, facilitating further the movement of persons between signatory countries. Some countries like France, Germany, the Netherlands are members of both the EU and Schengen. Others are members of the EU but not Schengen, like Croatia. And some are members of Schengen but not of the EU, like Norway and Switzerland. And then you have those that are members of neither, like the UK. In order to travel between the EU member state and a state which is not a member of the EU, you, or rather your goods, are subject to customs checks. In order to travel between a Schengen country and a country which is not in Schengen, you are subject to immigration checks. So, as a general rule, you should be able to fly from any airfield within Schengen and EU to any other airfield within Schengen and EU without being subject to customs or immigration checks. The only formality you may be subjected to is filing a flight plan, depending on what internal borders you cross. France does require a flight plan for crossing the national borders, and France also requires that you notify French ATC by radio when entering or leaving France. Now, unfortunately, since 2015, France has time and again temporarily reintroduced border controls on its internal borders. For a while, a state of emergency was in effect. This has created a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt within the aviation community. These uncertainties have further been reinforced by a story that was widely shared on social media about a Dutch pilot that was fined 1,500 euros in Dijon for having crossed the French border without a flight plan and without having sent a prior notice to the office responsible for border controls at Dijon, which is a point of entry. So, what are the facts and what are our obligations as pilots in command? Before each flight, we as pilots are supposed to carry out due diligence and consult all available aeronautical information pertinent to the flight. That includes making sure that we comply with any customs and immigration regulations. Aeronautical information is published in the AIP and by NOTAMs. As far as border crossing is concerned, it is covered by AIP GEN 1.2, 1.3 and 1.4 regarding entry, transit and departure. GEN 1.3 of the French AIP contains the Schengen border crossing points. GEN 1.4 should contain the list of EU international airports. The AD entry for the destination or departure airport describes the opening hours of customs and immigration in the case they are required, and also the prior notice requirements. We are also supposed to consult NOTAMs. Some airfields like Colmar, Limoges, La Rochelle and Dijon LFSD have NOTAMs mandating prior notice to Customs&Immigration for all international flights. But a load of aerodromes in France have no such NOTAMs, including Pontoise and Reçu, for example. So, if there is a NOTAM, you need to comply with its provisions. Otherwise, fly. And it should be as simple as that. But let's go one step further, just to make sure my understanding is correct. After the terrorist attack on the Bataclan in Paris in 2015, a national state of emergency was declared in France that finally came to an end on the 30th October 2017. On the 24th of October 2017, an arrêté was published addressing the use of French aerodromes in international traffic. Chapter 2 of that arrêté addresses the crossing of Schengen borders by people. Chapter 3 addresses the crossing of EU international borders by goods. In Chapter 2, there are 2 paragraphs of interest. Paragraph 5 addresses aerodromes that are part-time Schengen border points of entry. Paragraph 9 addresses aerodromes that are not Schengen points of entry. Paragraph 5 says, whenever the service in charge of border control is not permanently available at an aerodrome which has the status of point of entry, the aerodrome operator, in case of scheduled commercial flights, or the pilot, in any other case, is obligated to inform this service of any extra Schengen flight through a notice separate from the flight plan, so that the border crossing formalities may be organized prior to the arrival or departure of the flight during the opening hours. Paragraph 9 says, the aerodromes that do not have the status of point of entry are allowed to receive direct flights arriving from or departing to a country that belongs to the Schengen area without any formality regarding immigration controls. However, when controls at the internal borders are temporarily reintroduced in accordance with the Schengen Border Code, border controls may be carried out on those aerodromes in accordance with the procedures in Article 3. So, there is absolutely no ambiguity in paragraph 9. You are allowed to depart from a French aerodrome which does not have the status of point of entry directly to another EU and Schengen member state, or arrive at such aerodrome in France from another EU and Schengen member state, even if France has reintroduced checks at the internal borders. Paragraph 5, however, does not mention the case of reintroduction of checks at the internal borders specifically. The authorities must, however, somehow inform the aviation community about how the reintroduction of the border controls is implemented through aeronautical information by NOTAM, as is the case in Dijon. In conclusion, when crossing the French borders from other EU and Schengen countries, you must comply with any special provisions that are published by NOTAM. Otherwise, you're free to fly. Blue skies. See you for another video. Bye now.